because for the first time in the history of the World Cup, an African nation was able to beat Brazil?
Well, I will first of all congratulate the Lions of Cameroon for the brilliant performance that yesterday, especially against the powerhouse that we all know in the world football, Brazil. You know, I can say history is like a record that was a record that was broken, because from statistics, it has never, no African country has ever won Brazil at the World Cup stage. But maybe with other categories like other categories, African countries have been winning Brazil. We won Brazil at the Confederations Cup. We won Brazil at the Olympic finals to grab the gold medal. But at the level of the World Cup, that's what we are talking. I think Cameroon broke that record by beating Brazil. And even also at the level of the World Cup, all the number of times that we met with Brazil, we have ever been humiliated by Brazil. So it is something that needs to be uploaded, that needs to be saluted at the level of the Lions. But coming now, we have been eliminated. That said, I cannot give a pat on the back of those who manage the football of Cameroon. I'm sure you said that we should talk about Cameroon. Yes, Cameroon yesterday, if we had a good management managing that team, would have been on the second round, and things would have been even vying to cross the level at the quarterfinals that we ended in 1990. I have been one of the few critics of the management of the Cameroon football, especially under the present management of Samuel Eto'o, whom his management has been characterized with a lot of scandals, managerial scandals, players and all on. But I have always stood on the side of the players, because the players gave all what they could. Remember that this particular victory that we are all celebrating today, this was the same lineup, the same team that was proposed by Andre Onana that caused his dismissal from the national team. Because in our match against Switzerland, we saw the type of catastrophic lineup that we faced Switzerland, to a point where many critics of Eto'o criticized critics of Eto'o and Rigobert criticized Rigobert for a very poor show by removing, putting up a poor lineup, putting up Nkulu to begin the match. We saw the lapses of Nkulu. We saw the lapses of when he made some funny changes by removing Mbeumo, removing Chupu, by replacing Chupu Abubakar. And the second match against Serbia, Onana, because that was what that brought the bone of contention between him and Rigobert, proposed that as a goalkeeper that has a mastery of reading how the game functions, proposed that they should bring in a more vibrant defender like Christopher Wu, something like that. And they should start Choupo-Moting and Abubakar Vincent without not that one should replace the other. And when he gave that proposal, he was like challenging the coach's choice, especially when he complained of Nkulu not being fit to play at the central defense. So it brought a lot of problem, and to a point where they had to have some exchanges, and finally he was dismissed for poor conduct and indiscipline. So I'm happy that for the first time at least, we should rather give credit also to Onana, because he was at the sacrificial lamb, because the team that he proposed to Rigobert, even though it caused his dismissal from the club, is the same team that Rigobert put, and all of us today are happy because we saw a brilliant performance of the Lions yesterday, and they put up a great show. I wish that this team that I saw yesterday started from the first match against Switzerland, Serbia. I believe as of now we should be talking of preparing for the eight finals of this tournament, not talking about.
I will come back to you, President Njang Denis. Let's go to Linus Otoko Trésor to talk about some of the lessons Africa can learn from the competition so far. Of course, one of the lessons should be the importance of placing confidence on our local coaches. We have already, so far, we have Senegal is having a local coach, Aliou, and also to Walid Regragui, who is from Morocco, is also a local coach that have been able to take their players to the 16th round.
Yes, one of the first lessons is to trust our local coaches. But now, one of the key aspects is for local coaches to know they are locals. And so to decolonize the mentality of Africans on the issue of trusting foreign players. Morocco is at the second round. Yes, Morocco was first of their group. Excellent. But did you know, televiewers of my media prime, that Morocco has just 3 professional players? All the rest are local.
Why do we consider our players as not professional? Because the mentality we have is that once somebody plays for the white man, he's the best. I was so shocked yesterday that we had players like Christopher Woe on the bench. And we were woefully beaten with the Nkulu, who plays for the white, that we appreciate miraculously. The player from whom the pass came, I don't know why his name comes.
Ngom something. Ngom Belebek. I don't know. Bikel something like that. Yeah. Ngom. But he played for Colomb. Colomb of.
He was taken from our local championship, and that is why he could do what he did yesterday. I don't think us watching the match yesterday, we regretted that someone like Bono was bought out. I don't think we regretted that.
No.
But were those who made that miracle happen, were they local players? They were. And I'll even go the extra mile. Did you know that not all our local talents we took in here for the World Cup entered the pitch during the 3 matches of the Lions?
I just told them that way.
The Cameroon winning, gold-winning player here from Coton Sport did not play all this World Cup. He was sitting and watching. But don't you think at a certain level he would have made a very good change at the level of the attack? I don't know why Africans have a very short memory. Let me remind you of something. During the African Nations Cup in Egypt, there was a team all of us discovered. And we were shocked because that country is not even in the lining of FIFA. They played so well. During that World Cup, I can remember well, they had 7 free kicks. A free kick to them was a penalty. All the 7 were goals. Let me give you the name of the team, Madagascar. If you tap on FIFA, look for Madagascar, they are nowhere. But they came for the AFCON and they were third. Unbelievable but true. They are giving us a lesson. Let us learn to trust our local players and we will go far. I can tell you, if we had the lining we had yesterday against Switzerland, we would have beaten them. Against Serbia, we would have done the difference. Some who thought that we had players that cannot be changed. Okay, we decided to send Onana packing. At least the goalkeeper, Epasi, who played yesterday, I don't think they said. Is there anything we can reproach him?
No, he did well.
Now, when you go the other way around, look at the problem of Ghana. Ghana have excellent local players. I remember some teams in the Cameroon Championship, whenever we cross to play against Ghana in the African Championship of local teams, we always fear them. But what's the problem with Ghana? Their selections have players who come from abroad. The Ayew brothers, and so on and so forth. And when they come, it is no news to white coaches. Why? Because these coaches know their play style. They know their play style. And at the end, they are able to counter it very easily. Other players from these very foreign teams, they are their coach. They play with them. They know that his style of play is this. If I do this, I'll counter him. But can we do the same with local players? No. You need to observe him over 2-3 matches before you can counter his tactic. That is what our coaches have not learned. And that's why out of 5 teams we had who went into the game, only 2 have continued. If they will even go far, not that we distrust them, but we know what we have. We know their opponents.
So let me come to you, President Njang Denis. What is the difference between our local players from Africa? I mean, I don't know why our players from Africa, because I don't know why sometimes we like to call them unprofessional and then call those from Europe professional. Why should we call them unprofessional and call those from Europe professional when we saw what Ngom Bikele was able to do for Cameroon, for instance?
Yes, I will maybe differ a bit with Mr. Linus on his approach towards neglecting home-based players. I believe in the 90s, most of those who really carried it a marvelous job at the level of the national team, majority of them were the home-based players. The big brothers, they were chosen from Puma. We have, and then around, I think we have Stephen Tato, Dibakem, they were all players from Canon, Olympique de Volley, and so on. In 2000 and, 2001, no, 98, something like that, Njang Denis was selected. I think though and Njang Denis were fit in, they were also they were from Coton Sport and Olympique de Volley.
Out of how many?
No, I'm still coming. You see, the problem is not the aspect of giving room to local players, but structuring our championship to reflect the professional standard where all of our best players play. They will not have that anxiety to go out of the country. It's not you selecting, because if today, like the guy just talked about Coton Sport, who came emerged first and did what happened? A club in South Africa is looking for money, because no club in Cameroon is capable of giving him that money that he can compare him to stay and really all the best. Like this guy that played from Colombo, whatever. I learned that he did most of his exploits in professional exploits, and he could not be retained by any club, and he came back. So the problem is structuring and giving a facelift of our local championship, so that players who emerge with their talent will not have that ability to go out there. Like when you cited an example of Morocco. Clubs in Morocco have the same budget like clubs in Europe, like Raja Casablanca, the boys of Casablanca, in the Raja Casablanca and other related clubs. They are almost like equivalent to the budget of Barcelona. The budget of this Al Ali, or there's a big club in Egypt. Yes, they have a budget that is equal to heavy clubs in Europe. So players, when they look at the benefits that they benefit, when they are the pay package, they will not be carried to go. When you go to South Africa, Mamelodi Sundown and Orlando Pirates, they have almost equal budget like clubs in Europe. So you hardly see South African players going out there. All of their best remain. But when it comes to these other West African countries where their local championship is still at the amateur stage, you don't, if you are a talented player, you emerge the best. You are compelled to go out. And if you are a coach, you come, you do pre-selection tests. And you can't really see players that are up to standard, that they can face the Ronaldinho, they can face players of certain caliber. You are forced now to go out because you are best. I'd rather play me out. You talk about, like yesterday, you talk about Christopher Wo is not a local home-based player. Christopher Wo is playing in Rennes in France. So when you were talking about the aspect of performances of why Africans are not using a local-based player. Africans are using, South Africa use local-based play, home-based players, because the local league of South Africa is professional. And players, at times, there are even players that leave Europe, come to play in South Africa.
Let me come back to you, Mr. President. Linus Otoko, but we saw a so-called amateur player from Cameroon showcase professionalism at the world stage by helping Cameroon beat Brazil.
That is where
what do we say about that now?
That is where my problem is. Our championship, the local championship, is going professional. That was one of the missions of President Eto'o. And for that matter, we credit him. We have seen local clubs going to recruit from Africa, other African countries for the next championship. Here, there are two Togolese who are here. There are two, one from Egypt. We went and recruit here for, I think, for Cameroon. If we have the capacity, let me just go through history to remind you why I'm talking of local players here has been very important. There is a player for the Democratic Republic of Congo they call Trésor Mputu. Do you know where I discovered that player? In the African Championship. In a game against Union de Douala. I quite remember well because I was following it on the national station. We went and played against them. He played for Tupuisa Mazembe. He's number 9 for Tupuisa Mazembe. We played against them in Kinshasa with Union de Douala. We were winning them 1-0. The half part of the game they equalized. And so the journalist commenting the game was showing how Cameroon is so good and so on. But around the 70th minute, this player took a shot from the midfield, 45 meters, and scored. And the game ended 2-1. Those commenting said, no, it was a hazard and so on. I'm telling you of a local player. That boy came and did the same thing in Douala and scored 45 meters. All of us stood, I was in the stadium. When he scored, we stood up. He said, no. Hazard cannot be 2 times. I said, those are exploits of local players. He has never gone for any club abroad. That is what I mean. We have players in our championships. Salaries have been standardized. We are gradually coming to the status of the player. They are gradually entering with insurance for the players and so on. They are here. They played last season. We introduced the Super Cup here. We saw them. We went to Bafoussam and clapped for them. Why not trust them with the jersey of the state? We know what engages a player when he plays that, when he wears that jersey, and he has in mind that he's not a professional. He will give his all. But those who are abroad, they'll tell you that is chicken change. After all, they are paid in euros. But let me give you an anecdote. In the 3rd division in France, there was a player, because we had a special report there, Envoyé Special. In the report, the player gave his salary. You know when they give in euros, you calculate in CFA. Do you know what his salary was?
No.
72,000 francs CFA. Then our local championship now, Division 1, is 150,000 francs CFA per player. I can give you the list. There are about 9 who got married last season playing for our local championship here, Division 1. Can you imagine? So somebody would prefer to go and pay less because he's in white man land than to take what is given here. Simply because he does not have that prospect of rising, of making career profile. That is all.
Thank you.
Mentality, the management is very poor.
Thank you, Linus. Let me get to Ernest Akoufo. Welcoming Ernest Akoufo to the studio. Thanks for joining us, Akoufo.
Good morning, Elvis, and good morning to my co-panelists, and good morning to viewers out there.
Okay, let me just launch the question I have for you. Senegal and Morocco are in the next round of the competition. What does that say about Africa's choice of coaches? Because, of course, they are there with local coaches.
I think before I get to answer your question, I want to say congratulations to the 2 teams, the 2 Lions, the Teranga and Lions. That Lions from Morocco. Coming to your question proper, I want to say it's a new dawn. It's a new dawn for African football teams which are going to the World Cup. I think this being a first try, yes, I want to call it a first try. I think the second time it will be better. Why do I want to say that it's a first try? Because we've been used to this complex issue. Yes, I want to say it's complex because we feel that when the skin is red, it has a different mentality than, well, at times we want to put it in quotes, but I say the first try is a good one, and we need to harness it. Harnessing it will mean that we give the boys, we give the coaches the confidence, we give them the level playground, which we used to give to the expatriate coaches, because we used to think that when they come from abroad, they are superb, they are all-knowing. No. But thank God, with all the 5 African teams which went to the World Cup, Qatar, they had local coaches, and we are seeing. Nonetheless, there may be some loopholes. You see, when you are making a try, when you are trying your hand at something, there are always some lapses, which I think we all noticed. Because except that we'll have to get to that, because I could have gotten to the lapses already. You know, every match at the World Cup is a final. That's what our coaches, our local based coaches may have forgotten. Every match at the World Cup, those are the consequences the Indomitable Lions are facing with our local coach Rigobert Song. Because we had opportunity in day one to beat Switzerland by even a wide margin, but unfortunately, I don't know whether our boys felt that they were up ahead, they were stronger than the Swiss team, which we saw where it landed us, until we had to come in during the Serbian match to fight back until we didn't make it. So I want to say overall it's good, because this time around, we are not underdogs. African teams at the World Cup Qatar 2022 were not underdogs like we had in South Africa 2010. Because in South Africa 2010, apparently we felt that we're playing home. You see, when you prepare to receive somebody back home, you have to do everything to show your work, your strength. But apparently we took everything for granted and we never performed when the World Cup was in South Africa. Nonetheless, kudos to the coaches of the two teams which have gone to the next round of the competition, not forgetting our own, because we can't say Rigobert Song never performed any exploits. He did at his level, because it may not be commensurate, right? Because when we saw the wahala that happened between him and the goalkeeper, we don't wash our dirty linen in public. Yes, that ought to have been shaded, kept for another time. But you see, from inexperience, that was exposed. Cameroon is not the lone team which has problems. Other teams do have, and maybe more than what we are having. But why should we take us and put them on social media and so much so that people begin to say, look at those people? Fortunately enough, we did what the results came out as they came yesterday. We can just say bravo to the guys, but we must learn our lessons. Because if we, from what happened at Qatar, don't learn our lessons and then pick up from there, we'll always be having an eternal re-beginning, which is not good.
Thank you, Ernest Akoufo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, you're watching 90 Minutes in Africa, your Pan-African show that takes a look at happenings in our continent and how happenings of around the globe too affect our continent, Africa. Last night I watched the Indomitable Lions match against Brazil at a place called Gramland, during which we had guests from South Africa, Nigeria and Cameroon. We're all supporting Cameroon, of course, and other African nations too. There was even a performance there to support Africa in their exploit so far in the ongoing World Cup. But let's begin by having a Vox Pop. I interviewed some South Africans, some Nigerians and Cameroonians to talk about the victory last night against Brazil, which was not only a victory for Cameroon, but a victory for Africa, and also to give you a perspective about the upcoming competitions with Senegal to face, with Senegal and Morocco representing Africa in the next round. Let's take a look at the Vox Pop, what they had to say. We'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are unable to get the sound, but of course, when the sound is ready, please just kindly let me know so that we can be able to get those interviews with fans during shortly after the match between Cameroon and Brazil. But I get to you now, Njang Denis. Let's talk about expectations from Senegal and Morocco with Coach Aliou Cissé representing Senegal and Walid Regragui representing Morocco. What are your expectations?
Yes, like what we all shared here, I think African teams have really proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are up to task. It's not new, you know. The only thing that I will be very happy with African teams is for them to cross the level where Cameroon did, that the history that Cameroon left since 1990. Ghana tried the other time, and unfortunately they could not make it through cross the quarter-final stage. So I'll be hoping this time around for Senegal and Morocco to cross that stage, because we must get to a level where the stage where Cameroon created history. I think Senegal also ended at that stage. I think that was in 2002. Ghana also, but I'm looking towards that level where if we should be proud that an African team lift the trophy at the World Cup. But that notwithstanding, I want to say something concerning a little bit about our home-based coaches and some of their performances. I think our home-based coaches, they are doing a lot. They give them, you don't just come from, we have had coaches even in Cameroon that have really carried out outstanding performance. We have Jean-Paul Akono, we have Eno Ngashu, we have had coaches like Martin Tungumpile that have done a lot of exploits, taking both at the club and at the national level. They have done a lot. But coming to someone like Rigobert Song, I think we have a lot to learn, a lot. When Nsah, I am not of that opinion that if you are competent, you should be given a job. There is nothing like whether you are home based or you are an expatriate, because we still have developed countries with standard footballers. I mean, countries that are renowned in terms of football, they're still going for foreign coaches. So there is nothing like taking the white or a foreign coach or whatever. My problem here is the person that is competent. I bet you, I am not of that aspect where we have tried. We were going for this World Cup to go and make exploits and get right, maybe at the level of the semi or even at the finals, because we had the team. They had the team. So we should not use this blanket to cover our mediocrity or our mediocratic way of doing things. There was a coach that was there. His tree was an expert, but was he doing the job? Yes. Why didn't you just allow him to continue?
Are you saying that if Cameroon used an expert,
if Cameroon, there was already an expert. Even this team that you are seeing now, that Rigobert Song took this club when the former coach, the Portuguese Nsah, was already at the verge of qualifying the team, because he took the team right at the knockout stage where they were to face Algeria. So there was nothing wrong in his performance. When Rigobert Song took over, you are already at the battlefront. Automatically you change the captain, the captain of the ship. What were you expecting? Rigobert Song took over. You can realize that Rigobert Song himself, he's still yet to even come out with a team. Today, when he's following just what public opinions are, when we go to social media, when they criticize Rigobert Song, Nicolas Kulu is not fit. You see all that in charge to change Nicolas Kulu. Rigobert Song, why must you always remove Choupo-Moting to replace with Abubakar Nsah? Yeah, he came to realize that the public opinion. So he is still that coach, still yet to come out with a touch, an authority over the team, that you feel that this is something of Rigobert Song's philosophy, not the aspect of popular opinion. So to round up, we are back in Ghana. The coach came back and resigned. In Belgium, the coach came back. There's nothing like we won and so forth. Rigobert Song was not carrying our national team to go and do better experience, to go and experiment his ability. If we want Africa to go far, and Africa we should, when you are competent, you are given the job. When you are not competent, when you come back, you are replaced for somebody else who is competent. Because next match, we are very sure we are going to 2023 Nations Cup in AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire. You will see Cameroon will say, give some time again. Why other countries are exploiting and going far, we are still here to see giving people time. Cameroon has crossed that stage where we should be giving time for people to build. The team has already well built. Rigobert and his brother Eto came and destabilized the whole thing, and they are still giving another opportunity. So if the authorities of Cameroon, as they are coming back, there must be some questioning. It should be someone for questioning for this poor performance, where at the dying minute we are now using the victory of Brazil to cover a lot of cacophony that's already ongoing in the team.
Let me get to Ernest Akoufo now, while my producer shows images of Senegal training, because I want you to talk now about Aliou Cissé, to talk about, the time he took to be able to raise the Teranga Lions of Senegal to where they are today, and then compare with the expectations Cameroonians have from Rigobert Song, and then look at the time that was given to Aliou Cissé and look at the results today. Why do
was
we
producing
want,
results during that time? Don't think that it was
quick
made to.
results in Africa?
No.
Why do we want quick results in Africa?
I will come back.
Elvis, I think that it is not how much time you put in a duty post that produces the results, but it is your target. What you target within is a time frame which you're given, because somebody within a very short time frame can produce marvelous results, whereas you could be given that time even for donkey years, you wouldn't produce results. Well, I don't want to delve into the political milieu. No, between politics and sports, there's a marked difference. So I want to say, some people are of the opinion that this World Cup, the various national teams were ill-prepared. I want to say no. Well, it's 6 months shifting backwards, not advancing. Teams which have been prepared for long are prepared. I want to make a little flashback. In 1982, the team that went to represent Cameroon at the World Cup in Italy, in Spain, I beg your pardon, was mostly composed of home-based players. You had only Tokoto, Jean-Pierre, Roger Milan, and I think one other player who came from abroad to constitute that team. And we saw the results, because the home-based, they were already training, they already know how each other plays. Same in the 90s, we still had that constellation of players that were coming up. So today, when you want to look at the Cissé, why Cissé is producing results and all the like, the Senegalese, first of all, they have a well-constituted team. They have a play style. If you ask every Cameroonian today, has Cameroon got a play style? Nobody will tell you which play style Cameroon is using. Well, my co-panelist here just said, Rigobert's song is following the wind. When the Cameroonian public says, no, we don't need Nicolas Nkulu, he will listen to the public. When they say, no, we need Aboubé and Chupu, he will listen to the public. Mind you, in the early 82, 90, up till 2000, when we won Nations Cup and then the 2000 Olympic Games, even a blind mother could tell you the first 11 of Cameroon. But for more than, I think, almost 10 years now, nobody will tell you which are the first 11 of Cameroon. We played, prior to Qatar, we played, I think, 4 or 5 friendlies. At every friendly, we had a new team. At every friendly, we had a new team. How do you then constitute a team? Because if at the friendlies, we had a team which was seeking to have homogeneity. Because when football is being, knowing each other, know your partner, that okay, if I have the ball, at this position, if I put it at this position, I'll have this person at that position. But it's very unfortunate that within this past time, we've been playing the friendlies. Even at one point in time, the coach even committed a fatal error when there was questions as per the absence of some key players during those friendlies. He said no, he never needed to bring them in for fear of injury. How then do they train to understand each other? So you see, those are some of the lapses. And then coming back to Cissé again, you know, Cissé is a former player, and this would still go to buttress the fact that when players have played for long amongst themselves, they know each other. There is that small, you know, players are like, well, I don't want to downgrade them. Let me not use the word. So players are like mates. When they play together, they know each other. I know this is Ernest's weakness. This is Elvis's weakness. This is Njang's weakness. And I know their strength as well. So much so that at each point in time, I'll cover what happened to, well, it's a sad thing. We shouldn't be talking about it. Onana. Because he foresaw the lapses at his defense line and told the coach, coach, please, could we do this? The coach said, either you're a player or you're a coach.
So should I ask Linus, was that wrong? That kind of attitude of giving suggestions? Because I see that he seems
that
to...
That attitude was not wrong. I'll start my statement with this African proverb. There are 2 fools in the planet. 2. One who take advices from every living thing. And that's the case with our coach. And the one who takes advice from no one, no individual at all. And I'm sorry, the management of the team bench of Cameroon has one of those fools. I'm very sorry, but that's the truth. Let me take a simple case. You remember some time ago on social media, there's an image that went round. He was the president of a certain football federation, writing a simple, soft message to a coach to replace a player. And the replacement was done
instantly.
So facto.
Yeah.
I don't want to know whether that coach has a brain. I don't want to know. But there is something should surely be wrong somewhere, but I don't know where. Secondly, the last friendly Cameroon played before this World Cup, when Cameroon considered the goal, a certain president of a football federation stood from where he was and held his cap and was telling a coach to carry the cap to that goalkeeper immediately. And it was done immediately. So I don't know where, in which school that coach went to become a coach. But I don't know whether it is in the school of listening to others. I don't know. But I don't think coaching a team is listening to others. I don't believe that. Now,
so are we saying that if you are playing in the team and you are a player in that particular team, is it wrong to give advice to your coach about how things can be done?
Not
is
just
it a crime?
advice. Not just advice.
Opinion.
Not just advice. I'll take you a practical case in a different sector. Like to tell you, it's the same politics that apply. We had a military operation some time ago in the far north. And it was realized that those guys of Boko Haram were always attacking on market day. Realized by who? By those at the command post. For your information, the man at the command post is a Sangalo. And so the Sangalo will write the report, but will tell his boss that, boss, tomorrow is market day.
So
These guys always attack on market day. I suggest we reinforce security here without informing anyone. They will see two of us, whereas we are 20. For your information, that was the night Boko Haram attacked with tanks. And that was the highest night of casualties there.
So what are you suggesting?
The boss listened to the Sangalong, and that is why Cameroon could win that battle. Some of us had the presidential decree giving decorations to soldiers who fought that battle. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So now let's come back to football. Who is in the pitch? Is it the coach?
no.
And the goalkeeper has a very big role to play.
What still? Did we give the jersey of key observer to our goalkeeper? There are certain matches he played with it as captain.
Yes.
So does he give him the power to talk? Yes, very well. He even has the powers to tell the coach, I don't want this man tomorrow in my match. That's his powers. Cameroon is just doing nonsense over nothing. And for your information, for those who are criticizing online, Cameroon is not the worst team of this World Cup. No. Let me give you the worst team. Belgium. The worst team is Belgium.
Belgium, they fought.
They fought not once, 6 times. And anytime they fight, they have a player who is in charge of doing live Facebook. Say, look, this is a dead as boxing this man. They even have a player in their team, I will not mention his name, who sees the wife of the goalkeeper Chiboku to marry her. All this fighting. So can you imagine? So at our level, even our scandal is small. But now, in order to make performances, we need to sit, look at each other in the eyes, and then identify, does our coach have the technical ability to manage a team? I don't believe that.
No.
But our Cameroonian coaches abroad,
Yes.
because Ashiwebo is even sitting on the bench
Even they are ones
of a white
in this country.
team there. White men clap when his team wins.
We
I'm
have
talking of
coaches.
the Ashiwebo we clapped it in Ivory Coast. So let us learn to trust us. Second thing, and that's the problem with Cameroon. Aliou Cissé, we can sit today and clap. Aliou Cissé made a lot of mistakes on the bench of Senegal. I will not go far. The last AFCON in Gabon is a replacement of Aliou Cissé that makes Senegal to lose the whole match. He took the key player out, and the next one who came in made a blunder and they scored. And that's how Senegal was out. The last World Cup where Senegal went before this one, it was a replacement of Aliou Cissé that gave a red card to his player. But the Senegalese did not burn his house, beat his parents. No, they said we trust him. And they learned to trust him over the AFCONs that he was going and failing.
And give him time.
And that is what they never.
When you talk about failing, it depends on what you talk about failing. Let me say something. because you cannot compare Aliou Cissé performance to that of Rigobert Song.
No, I'm not doing that.
I want to talk about from the beginning. I don't know when he took, but Aliou Cissé, to a certain level with Senegal, his results were satisfactory, yes. And that's why they gave him time.
Yes, that's
at the beginning. Right. Even though he were not
excellent,
he was not grabbing trophies, but there were some levels that everybody saw that if we still give this man time, he's going to be depending on the level at which. But with Rigobert Song has played, I think 9 matches. I don't know. I think 9 matches.
With the match of last night,
and let me tell you something. Cameroon should not be too much overcarried by the fact that won Brazil. Brazil was not. There was nothing that was at stake. Do you think if Brazil was at the match of Brazil yesterday was at stake, that needed qualification and to beat Cameroon? That when we people defeated Brazil, I would have said it is true. Yesterday the Brazil team there was nothing that was at stake. They are already qualified. And then there were some reservations.
But they wanted to maintain.
But you cannot compare your level of performance as compared to when you are at the point of the red line where you need to qualify the red zone.
Just like the match of
you don't expect those Brazil guys to give all that, because there was some level where they have to consider that injuries can come in.
Let me ask this question.
We don't know the next match.
This question, Njang Denis.
Yes.
You have 3 games at the World Cup. You have a coach who has 3 games at the World Cup. He loses 1 goal to 0 goal to 1 to Switzerland, and of course Switzerland is not a small team. And then in the second match, he's able to come back after being led to equalize at 3-3.
After being led out of a mistake, very bad qualification.
The third match, the person is able to beat Brazil and then create a record.
Let me tell you something.
Why should we fire such a coach?
Mr. BOH Elvis, let me tell you something. Cameroon already had a team. We should not confuse when you pick up a team which was scattered. This team already was well stabilized. Like what Mr. Akoufo said, that you could not give. Nsah gave a notion that even at a point where Cameroonians would give the first 11. It is thanks to him that we could even come out with the first 11, because before Nsah came, there was no first 11. It is thanks to him that we could discover a player like Nuhu. He came and stabilized 5. He came and stabilized because for some time now our defense has been porous to a point where he was able to bring in to see how he could match Canceleto and Ngantcha, and that is the team that qualified us. And then we already knew that Toko Ekambi, that was his team. I can give you the first level of Nsah. He was rather born Hongla. He was his midfielder. He brought in Nsah and stabilized that midfield to a point where we were able to trash off Côte d'Ivoire. And the only error where I felt that Nsah made some lapses was when we played Egypt, and during the penalty shootout, he could not understand that during penalty shootout, you bring in those who could keep the penalty. That was just the mistake of Nsah. Apart from that, there was nothing wrong with him. He was still at the stage of building. Now, when you come in and you destabilize the team, the people that came in to destabilize the team and claiming that they are building it, are they ambition from Eto'o needed a coach that he could handpick and decide what has to do. He knows that Eto'o knows that a coach of certain caliber can never tolerate him for him to come to the dressing room and be warning and threatening players. It doesn't go that way.
Okay, let me
we no coach will tolerate him to do that. No coach will tolerate Eto'o to be manipulating phone and telling the coach that you change this one, I am dismissing this player.
We cannot say for sure that he was sending because we're not seeing his
of course, who said when Ngantcha was not selected, who was in charge? Eto'o said it during a live interview, one of the sister channels, that they asked him about Ngantcha. He did not even mention the name. He said that name is off. When I was sent off, who wrote the communique? Was it not the Feka food? So what I'm trying to say here is that we don't manage human beings. Thank God that those guys are professionals. Those guys are super professionals.
If not, they would have
stopped playing. It's just that they are playing for their clubs. They don't want a situation that they will feel. Those guys are super professionals. I really applaud, because if those guys were not super professionals, the level of humiliation that Eto'o gave to those guys, I have everything. I have voice that were sent to me or concerning what happened in Qatar. Said, thank God for the guys that their professionalism, and they played for for their nation. That will call patriotism. Senegal and Morocco, I don't think this is not the first performance of Senegal. Even if I was blind, I would have ever predicted Senegal to go that far because they have the capacity. They have been very from 1998. Was it 98 that they won France on the opening match? I saw their consistency. I don't even know who is the president of the Federation of Senegal Football.
Yeah,
I don't even know him. We only know that.
I know where you're heading.
No, that's why I'm saying that in as much as some could be mediocre, we can say it's a mediocre because he is a puppet. But if whosoever is coming, they should give the person a free hand to choose. I bet you that these 26 players that were taken to the Nations Cup was not to the World Cup was not some choice. It was imposed on him and he had no choice because he knows that he is not even fit to be at that position.
I watched the press conference announcing that he could not pronounce her name.
Why are we talking
about
Senegal? No, we clap because Cissé, do you know what it means for Sadio Mane to sustain an injury at the eve of World Cup and a player was able to stabilize that position? I mean, Sadio Mane is like the eye of Senegal. It's like Lionel Messi having an injury at the eve of World Cup with Argentina. Sadio Mane, we all know his performance. He's a guy that at the club level, at his country level, he has always carried the country. And for a coach to tell that as someone that has a master class of his team, I was like, wow, let me see the magic of Aliou Cissé. The absence of Sadio Mane, what is going to happen? But we saw what he did. Look at even the Ghana home base guy. I don't even know his name, not even a renowned, but it's a home base coach. The Ghanaian coach. If you watch the way Ghana play, even their match against Portugal, those are people that I can say give him chance. Unfortunately, the guy has resigned, but the guy saw a team. You saw a team. They handled Portugal of Cristiano Ronaldo. If you watch that match, the replacement that he did, in fact, if not of some polemic penalty that was given that everybody doubted that penalty, I think Ghana would have crossed the second stage. But that match against the match that they won against a country, I don't know the other country, they won that country very well. I mean, you saw the mark of a coach that has authority over his players. The third match against Uruguay. It's unfortunate that the players, I don't blame the coach, the players were given all opportunity to.
Yeah,
I mean, the first penalty,
and do you have the impression that African teams need to focus on penalty shots?
No, penalty shot. We are talking about the caliber of African teams and the managers managing the team. And because we're talking about give people time. When we see the performance of, my problem is not being eliminated. My problem is, what is your goal? What is your vision? And then let us start seeing their vision that if we give this person time, but from the look of things, the more you give the Gobert some time, I mean with our own local coach, provided there is somebody that determines what he has to do. The Gobert could be very good, except it could be that they broke that bound. Because from every indication, Eto'o proved to the whole world that he is the coach. And if Eto'o,
and we don't blame him for the players he selected.
If Eto'o never had a hand in this team and had a coach of caliber, we would have been talking about the A final now. Yeah. Because the first match.
But don't forget that Eto'o is too, who is a
good
player, has some experience. Which and
Eto'o has been the most indecent player in the history of Cameroon football.
I'm not refusing that Eto'o had been the coach. But now this is a fact. The players he himself selected appear to be the best. But what casting does he make of the players at every match? That is where the problem is. That is where the problem is.
I have a take. My take is this. We apparently are crying over spilled milk now.
Yeah.
Yes, because of the many loopholes and the odds that
I am not seeing any future. That's why I'm saying that we need with some.
Yes, because
these guys who
better start from zero.
Because if we have to go
prove to the way that we can do it.
If we have to go to AFCON 2023, we have to get back to the drawing board.
And it's not as far as February.
We have to get back to the drawing board. Getting back to the drawing board means I don't even know why Magic Boma had to turn down that offer.
We need a coach of caliber. Some doesn't have that caliber.
Yeah.
We know how
there is one thing. There's one thing in the coaching in everything you do. That charisma. when you invite your guests here, when they come in, they listen to you talk, they look at the way you act.
You can manage your guests.
You manage your guests. But when you are a coach who is unable to manage your players, you don't have the charisma to manage. It is not all about money, man. You get the point? It's not all about, oh, I have money, I have played, I've carried the captain band for 50 years. No, sir. Maybe within a period, you never had people who could beat you to carry the band. But things change day in, day out. So if you if you put garbage in, obviously you take out garbage. That is just what has happened to the Indomitable Lions.
They don't change them.
I think we see the clique which is building there. It is not like saying that the president of FECAFOOT, Samuel Etofis, is not doing anything. He's doing something. But as to what concerns the national football team, he should leave the national football team free to the coach. And if we look keenly or clearly, we're going to see that he brought in somebody which is going to manipulate easily. There's no concern about it. Because I don't see him imposing on someone like Magic Bowman. Impossible. I don't see him talking to somebody like Jean-Paul Akono. I don't see him talking to somebody like Kaham Michel. Impossible.
But I think such images that, as you can see on screen,
those are images now.
These are wonderful images for Africa.
Yeah,
to show that we need to believe and trust in that talent.
We cannot be
Pan-Africanists. We cannot be Pan-Africanists.
But we have a colonial mentality.
We are criticizing
when we play Jamaica.
Eto has a colonial mentality.
It doesn't play Jamaica. And if you see, when the coach had to read out the names of the players, he could hardly read out the name. How could you write out a list yet?
Where you cannot pronounce
and you could not even defend the choice of players you choose. He said nobody can ask you a question.
Elsewhere, there is a conference
where
the coach
explains. Justified all the choice.
He justified. I take this because players instead of this.
So it will not.
Here, when you ask why, well, I don't want to create any politics any longer by calling the player's name. When you ask why some players were
but Gandhi was not.
Yes.
Why did you choose Basogo?
He cannot justify.
No.
Why
did you choose
The choice of
it's not all about performance. Sometimes it's about discipline.
No, I think Nsah, we are answering a question in line with what is the way forward and how can we give confidence to people.
Please, can I learn?
Okay, sorry, sir.
I beg to learn to say this eternal commencement should be something of the past. I just but hope that when they come back, the Minister for Sports and Physical Education was the head of delegation. A concise and precise report should be handed to the Prime Minister, to be forwarded to the President of the Republic for action to be taken. Because, fortunately enough, last night there was a face saver. Let me call it that way. Because if they were not that face saver, couldn't have been seated here talking because of all the wranglings that's taking place there. We take the country's flag, go and begin to use it to clean our shoes. That's unheard of. Because Cameroon's image with what happened with Onana was pulled in the mud. How can you wash a dirty linen in public? Not Cameroon. How does President Etofis justify the fact that he said that we'll be coming back by the 18th of December? What suddenly went wrong? He should tell Cameroonians what suddenly went wrong. Because if he doesn't tell Cameroonians,
accountability.
He means a jupe. He means he juped Cameroonians. He cooks Cameroonians.
Why don't we want to give Etofis time? Why don't we want to give him time?
I'm talking more precisely about the national football team. Elsewhere,
not about
his organization is impeccable.
Excellent.
Elsewhere, it's impeccable. But as per what concerns the national team, it is a fiasco.
It's a very big fiasco.
Let me come to you now. Let's forget about Cameroon a little because they have not qualified.
Eto ever says you was boastful.
We've already spoken about Senegal, but let's talk now about Morocco with the local coach Wali. What are the chances of Morocco against Spain?
Morocco has chances against Spain. When I observe the games to the play style of Morocco and Spain almost have the same game play style. Morocco has an advantage. Most of his players are locals. They are not known.
So amateurs, would they be able to?
So the amateurs can surprise
professional
amateurs.
One of the best championships in the world.
Let me even go
Morocco League is well
Let me
professional.
even go the extra mile. We are at the 8th final stage. At these knockout stages, the least mistake is paid cash. If Spain makes a mistake at the start of the game and they take it in, it plays on the psychology of the players. Morocco can go very far. When I even look at these encounters, I even fear for England. Yes, because I watched the 2 matches of England, even the one against Wales. They were just joking with those players because
how could you be playing with your son?
Good, the number one. But I'm telling you that against Senegal, if Senegal scores the first, I fear for England. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
I fear for it. They will not come back. We know their stars. We know their play style. And you see, so just watch their 3 good matches. The match where they were mostly engaged.
Yeah.
It's finished. He knows the list. They will line up. This man, we counter him like this. This other one, we counter him like this. And I told you people here since the last edition of the program that it is always once an opponent player is left alone in the 18 meters without the opponent team marking him, that they go camp. If you just put that strategy, we know we are at the knockout stages, so penalty shootouts are almost always the end.
Yes.
And you Cisse can come and play the blockade style. Let me tell you, just to reflect on Cameroon, the match of yesterday, just to talk of one element, there's something that marked me. Do you know that it is very difficult for a team that have old players to play the block equipe?
Yes.
What Cameroon played yesterday?
Yes.
Remember, the first yellow card of Abubakar is where? At the defense. For a 10 jersey, he was supposed to remain in front.
But he was defending.
They were blocking. All in front, all behind. If Senegal plays this against England, I can tell you with my hands on fire, England will not go. They will not. If Morocco plays this against Spain, they don't know Moroccan players. They are finished. They will just watch the good matches and try to counter. But if Morocco plays this, I'm telling you, even Spain will crumble.
Now let's talk about Ghana. They are already licking their wounds, and we found an unwanted dose of a deja vu with Uruguay beating Ghana 2-0 for both teams to disqualify themselves from the
it is.
Someone was saying that Cameroon beats Brazil 1-0 to disqualify themselves.
It's really unfortunate, because when I watched the match Ghana versus Portugal, I saw a wonderful team, the Ghanaian team, a team that really has an ambition, a team that really know why they are there for the cup. I could beat my chest that the Ghanaian team was a team I was looking at the level of even the semi-finals, because they played. Their match against that country, they played the match until they won. I think that was Costa Rica. I don't know.
Yeah.
Qatar. No, not Qatar. The next match that they played, they won. Is the name that is, yes. They won. They played very well, very impressive. And their third game against Uruguay, which I was like speaking, because I was just like a prophet, saying that I don't want you to.
South Korea.
Okay, South Korea that qualified. Thank you. They won South Korea. And their match against Uruguay, I was like, let this incident repeat itself. Let this incident repeat itself. When the penalty
of 12 years.
Yeah, like 2 years, like the last one that they played excellently well. But I was still confident, because the team I saw in Ghana, I myself, I was shocked that Ghana was like 2 goals down. I said, what went wrong? This is not a Ghanaian team that I have been watching throughout, because I could put Ghana, I could put Senegal, I would put Morocco. Those are the teams that I will bet myself, that beat my chance that they will cross. But it's rather unfortunate. But I will try to rather call on the Ghanaians not to be discouraged. That is a very good team. They are young guys, except Ayu, the elderly one that is of a little bit age. But the Ghanaian team, they are young, talented, ambitious. So I don't know what would have pushed the coach to I don't know the name base, and he's a home-based coach, to resign. To me, the Ghanaian administration, the football federation would have really given that guy. That is someone that I can have confidence that this is a team that will go far because he has a mastery of his team. And you see when they play, the type of changes that he does, you see that this change, this person merits to be replaced by this person. So the Ghanaian team has a lot of hopes, a lot of ambition. I believe with the change of this coach, I don't know who is coming because I let him resign.
The Ghanaians.
Yeah, but the team is very, very promising. Very, very promising.
Let's take a look at what happened 12 years back during the South Africa World Cup.
They have a promising team.
Where Suarez turned into a goalkeeper and caught an intentional goal for Ghana, just Matamajian to miss the penalty. And then similar scenario happening, of course, with Ayew missing the penalty again. Should we open a professional school for penalty shootouts in Ghana?
Not that. I want to say that you permit me to use that word. There's a certain complex with our African teams. What the French would call insuffisances. The players want to feel themselves that they're already performing at a certain level. Because when you look at the Ghanaian team, it has potentials and very young talent. But when you want to look at the history of football in Africa, Ghana has been brilliant, but not winning the trophies, not producing the goods. Look at its star like Abedi Pele. It's very unfortunate that he retired without writing his name on either the World Cup or the Nations Cup, if I'm not mistaken. It's very unfortunate. So what happened 12 years back, which repeated itself, is rather a pity. Talking of maybe a football school for penalty shootouts, I don't think that's it. Because prior to Qatar, I had thought that Motsepo, the president of CAF, that he will group the African teams which qualified for the World Cup for a mini tournament between them, since time was short. But it's very unfortunate. I made a proposal over Facebook. I then never got his address, personal address, to maybe address it to him, because it was time. I think it is time when African teams qualify, they play a mini tournament between them, which will keep them up before they get to the World Cup. And we should not think that African teams going to the World Cup is just a show-off issue. They should go with the intention of bringing back the results. Today we keep citing Cameroon. Yes, why can somebody not equally beat that record to go right to the semis? That would be good. But apparently, because I least expected Uruguay to beat Ghana again. I could put my hand and say, okay, the Ghanaians are going to cross. But it's very unfortunate. We saw what happened. So
they shouldn't be discouraged.
We have to get back to the drawing board. When the African coaches or the technical bench of the African teams has to go back to the drawing board and see what really is the missing link. Still Brown to Qatar, Samuel Eto'o was saying, he told his boys when they qualified at Blida, you people must know that those guys over there don't have 3 legs and you have 2 legs. But it beats my imagination that when you get to all of those teams, you get Africans playing there. But when you meet the same Africans with whom they play, they don't produce the same results. What is the problem? What is the missing link? That is the $1 million question.
And that's the question I want to ask. Where is the missing link, Njang Denis?
I think the last time I was here, we said something in line with that. First, our administration, Africa needs a lot as far as managing football is concerned. Not only managing football, managing their compatriots. We were not only limiting only to football. We have other related Africans, especially when I talk about Africans, let us try to redress that word Africans. We are talking about especially Africans of the South, I say South of Sahara.
Yeah.
The Sahara, because Sahara, good. That is those are the ones that we are trying to North Africa is fine. East Africa, they are okay. You will not see East Africans, but when it comes to the South of the Sahara, West and especially West Africa, we have that problem where in Cameroon in particular, let us not also generalize. If you look at it very well, last time I gave a statistic here that from my findings, I realized that there were 30 Cameroonians playing, 30 Cameroonians playing all over countries in other countries in the World Cup. At the World Cup. authentic Cameroonian. Only in France alone we have Chamini and Mbappe. They are all Cameroonians playing at the wing.
Is that so that's good management?
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That just imagine this is a coach. I mean a player that takes over the helm, whom we expect a lot from his experience at the professional level to bring sanity even at the level of the national team. Well, if you feel, look at the way he treats players. I'm talking about Samuel Eto'o. Do you think any young... I'm telling you that there are many things that forget about what we did with Brazil. Those guys, Mr. Bo, those guys took into themselves to take up that challenge. If you look at what Rigobertson, who is a former professional player, who has made exploits in Europe, with Samuel Eto'o, treat players this way. Look at the humiliation that they gave to, like what our elder brother here says. That is an indoor something that would have been handled. Look, with the level of professionalism, nobody would have even known that Onana said something. Look, at to a point where you are writing to his club, letting his club know that he is being chased away for indiscipline. Do you know what it takes? And then tomorrow you come and tell me that players don't want to come. Now, other upcoming guys who are still like vying that, well, maybe I can join Cameroon, I will not take nationality here. They say, hey, don't go there.
If
you see what those guys, because there are many guys who were hoping that as Samuel Eto'o is at the helm, but I bet you that in the history of tournament that we have ever faced, but been at the helm, we have had a lot of catastrophic incidents, but it has always been hidden. It was only after that we start realizing that this thing happened because of what they managed. But at the level of before,
in the 90s, best of at the same thing.
So what we are
within the team until after, after the 90s, Italian World Cup, that we discover that is what happened. Yes.
So we are praying that
it plays on the moral of the players.
Because you are saying that what went wrong. Until we change our mentality on how to manage personnel, how to manage the people, how to manage especially professionals of certain caliber, how to manage them. If I tell you that this guy in Zambo, thank God, I want to really thank those who are the counseling those guys, because they are playing a very big role. Because psychologically, those guys, it was just too much. The torture was just too much. Do you know what it means after winning a match against Burundi? You professionals are there. I saw that match. You a football federation president, come and you put camera, because it was deliberate for camera to see you degrading players of certain caliber in front of the whole world. Do you know what it means? That was those guys in front of their family members. For Onana to go, do you know what it means for you to tell the world that this guy was for this? For a guy that just gave his proposal as a proposal,
anyway,
so what I'm to round up was that we are playing. We are. Look at, if I look at Ghana today, let us not be try to globalize everywhere in Africa. There are some things that actually you can see that they are really improving. Senegal is improving because of this, the way of managing, the administration, the management. You can see the touch of a coach. He takes over his responsibility. We just recently talked about Ghana. We let us not forget Tunisia. Tunisia did not really perform that bad. They won in France. They came out with 4 points. We are only talking Cameroon as if France is also a giant house. But Tunisia beat them. Unfortunately, they could not qualify. So Cameroon should not be thinking that it's only them. So what we should be doing, we should go back to the drawing board and see how we manage our personnel, encourage people who are out, those who are out, to be encouraged to come back in their country and give the best of what they are made up of. Not only in football, in other walks of life, engineers, medical doctors, lawyers, all walks of life. Many of Cameroonians are out there.
I think that's one of the lessons of the World Cup.
Look at Embolo.
Yes, that's one of the lessons of the World Cup. That we should give value to our own, rather than want to recognize the value when they excel elsewhere. Yes. The Embolo case is a case in point.
It's of management.
Yes, and that is just an exception in the media of football or sports. We saw this lady, Françoise Mbango. She excelled at the Olympics, but later on she naturalized French. Why?
Recognize her talent.
Because back home she was treated like an underdog, and maybe because some persons wanted something from her. Because when you hear that they give players 60 million, do you think some players even say 10 million?
They know, they share the whole thing.
And since it's a mafia, you don't talk.
You dare talk, you keep your.
You don't talk.
Let me just say something, please. I want to encourage this our national team. From what I saw, we have good players. So that's why I'm saying that if they were to retain Rigobert Song, call left to me, Rigobert Song is not fit to manage our national team, provided Eto'o is still using Rigobert Song as his puppet, as long as those two people are there. But if at all Eto'o will realize, because Eto'o came to realize that he should give some time. The match against Brazil, he had no voice there, because a lot of critics. He was forced, Rigobert Song was forced to come up with a lineup that same Onana proposed.
Which shows that Rigobert Song is good.
No, it's not good. Mean that who knows? Now we have been blindfolded by
Who takes counsel for every living thing?
So that's why I'm saying that if we can, let us not be too pessimistic. Our team is good, but we need good managers. And if Rigobert Song can be given a free hand, let me not criticize, but I don't see him doing that job.
I quite remember that some time ago when the Lions started playing these qualifying games for the World Cup, there is a sports journalist who threw a slam on a TV channel just beside this. And he said, Eto'o is a very good manager as Fecafoot president, but he needs him to be less omnipresent.
Okay.
So he's a dictator.
Thank you.
He's a good manager.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, you're watching 90 Minutes in Africa, your Pan-African program. We are broadcasting from Yaoundé, which is the capital of Cameroon in Central Africa. Time for us now, ladies and gentlemen, to move over to South Africa and talk about Cyril Ramaphosa over there, who is accused of having hidden close to $4 million US in his property. The amount was found in his property, and of course Cyril Ramaphosa says that it was just $500,000 which he had to hide somewhere in the back of his sofa in his farmhouse. And it is really a difficult time for Cyril Ramaphosa because members of parliament are accusing him of having broken the law and having abused his position in one way or the other, and so he could be impeached. Linus Otoko, you have been following that story.
I've been following the story, and it is so disheartening for an African president who stood on a campaign of anti-corruption in order to become president. It is even shocking that the African National Congress, which is the
maybe our producers should change the topic,
which
and put
is the ruling party there in
topic,
South Africa, did not even step immediately to impeach him and bring him down the stage of head of state, just like it was done to Thabo Mbeki on September 2008. The story, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, yes, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, the money was not found in his farm, the Falafala farm. The money was stolen, and he is accused of kidnapping the burglars and bribing them to silence. Money was stolen in 2004. About $4 million US in foreign currency, not even in South African rand. When the Pope comes in, it comes into the accusing party, takes the matter to the Pope branch of the parliament. This is a spy. The former chief of information services, Arthur Fraser, who worked with President Zuma, is the one who brings the matter up in June 2022, 2 years after the operation had been held. That was in 2020 that the money was stolen. Before the president will now come out and will say, yes, the amount of money was $580,000, and he was hidden in a sofa in his house as if there was no bank.
And he said he sold both.
Also, the burglars did not think twice. They simply carried the sofa away and they became millionaires. Now, in order to bring them back to the country, because they even ran out, he had to call for help from the Gambian president.
Yeah.
So go and arrest that man and bring him. Massa, I know you stole from me, but I add money to what you have stolen me. Don't talk, eat your cola and go. That is the real story. But now when he comes out, they are asking the head of state. You were among the founding fathers of the Constitution of South Africa, signed in 1990. You wrote with your pen that there is what we call the peak. There's an amount of money you should not be found with because they are banks. You are the one who wrote it. How can you not be found with that kind of money? He's saying that the money was not stolen from state coffers. He saw buffaloes in his farm. Okay, Mr. Njang Denis, my fellow panelist, if I am a Ganako and I go to Mokolo to sell cows, when they buy the cows in Mokolo, will I take the $7 million that I sold the cows and give in Mokolo?
No.
Our bank's finished. It sounds stupid. Now, that's the first question South Africans are asking their president. You vote against corruption. You made your campaign against corruption. Now, where is the money from? Question. Even if you sold the buffaloes, do you keep the money where the buffaloes were standing? No, let's be serious. Now, third element, even if you did not steal the money, you sold your buffaloes very well, our banks finished. That is why he has two problems. An impeachment note has been sent to Parliament against him. The ANC is supposed to mandate a new candidate for 2024, and it was supposed to be him. In the face of this probe of corruption, will the ANC identify themselves as doing pacha? Because in 2008, it was a similar situation that led the whole Tabombeki and say, my friend, start by resigning here before you go to presidential elections in the name of another party. So that is where the problem is. The president is now sitting on a very uncomfortable seat. That is why he went the extra mile and even canceled the meeting he was supposed to hold with lawmakers some weeks ago. Because mentally he is down, and in the face of the scandal of the state, if he starts again with lawmakers, what will he tell them? Because he is the first lawmaker.
I think this scandal, the Buffalo Gate scandal, is first of all, we must appreciate the fact that in some countries the law is still being adhered to. Yes, in some countries, especially I want to talk of English-speaking African countries.
So you are saying that probably if he was in a French-speaking African country,
well,
the person sounded alarm maybe would have been arrested.
Yeah, because when you look at it, it seems as if with the two systems, the Anglo-Saxon and the Francophone system, it seems as if the law in the Francophone system is not being applicable in toto. Whereas, because impeachment, you haven't heard about impeachment in the Francophone system of governance, but with the Anglo-Saxon system of governance, impeachment is the order of the day. Because if Cyril had signed the laws which are today haunting him, and then he still goes against the law, it's too bad. And one thing that baffles and maybe that may impeach him is the fact that he's talking about buffaloes which are sold, whereas the buffaloes are still there. Yeah, the buffaloes are still there. And then secondly, the amount of money is a fabulous sum of money. Nobody owns money because their name is not written on it. It is state money and supposed to be put in banks, because money that is not in circulation in the banks is wasted. And it's very unfortunate that we are talking from the premise of what happens in our own backyard. It's very unfortunate. I just hope that with the change of to the new currency, most of the money will be retrieved. Who knows? Because people have got the tendency of no more banking money. People are burying money. Permit me use that terminology.
Just to go on your state, remember the proverb in Cameroon. Laws are made by men and can be hit.
Yeah.
Okay, now
so,
you know the next.
It's very unfortunate. But again, I want to say South Africa is a state of law. And if we must adhere to the laws, we begin to see President Ramaphosa on the verge of leaving. Because that's what happened to Thabo Mbeki and
Jacob Zuma.
Yeah, Jacob Zuma too. You see, when people put a law and then they respect the law, the society is upright. I want to look at South Africa like an upright society. And where does this stem from? I want to think of Nelson Mandela, because he preached it and it was followed, and it has been applicable even after him. So I want to say it's wonderful.
President Njang Denis, I want you to react to this. Is this clear proof that we should stop trusting politicians?
I want to first of all appreciate the state of South Africa. You know, when they talk about constitution, respecting the constitution, an active parliament, that's what makes a country, not a dormant parliament, not a parliament where they're made up of hand clappers. I think the lawmakers, the lawmakers are, and that is what gives you the credibility to see what we call true democracy. And when leaders are held on a particular point where it means what we call accountability. You just made mention of most of the Anglo-Saxon countries, it is very, very common. Even our close neighbors in Nigeria, you don't dare anyhow. Even though to a certain level there are some lapses there. I think South Africans the South African community, they are still there to protect that value. They fought for it. Mandela will really be very, very disappointed with some of his peers, or let me say his collaborators, whom he had, like, they called Thabo Mbeki. He was left with also corruption scandal. There was Jacob Zuma, and now we are with Ramaphosa, whom we felt that he could also bring some changes. Well, I don't want to dive into the nitty-gritties of what really transpired, because I don't have any mastery of really what really happened. I think if everything he's found guilty of corruption, he's found guilty of embezzlement and keeping liquid money, especially in a country like South Africa, where the level of technology is a little bit elevated, where everything now should be more of electronics. We don't use liquid cash again. Yeah. When you are found with, if at all the allegations are founded, I think for you to bring sanity in a society, it must begin from the top. Like our country in Cameroon, if I don't even know who manages the Sonalab money, money from oil, we don't know till date. If you ask the minister, it's a taboo. You don't dare ask how our money from oil is being managed. We don't know. So when you said you want development comes from when leaders are able to showcase, and that is why how can we talk about, and that is why we
handpicked parliamentarians.
We upload. I want to upload.
Some don't even know their constituencies.
I want to upload the initiative and the effort done by the South African. Especially credit goes to one guy that I always follow. He has a party. Please, Julius Malema. If we could have such.
The former leader of the
Julius Malema. I know the hard times that Julius Malema gave to Jacob Zuma, the hard times that even this man is not free, and that's what called the role of a parliamentarian.
No. Guys, you guys should learn, because we have 3 minutes to go.
You know what I like about South Africa, the comic part of it is that the South African presidential seat goes to where you either come from prison and become president, or you leave for presidency to prison. So it is for number what we have. Zuma left for president and became president. Mandela left for president and became president.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to respect time since we are broadcasting from Yaoundé, so that our station in Douala, which is the headquarters, should take over the airways. I want to thank you so much, Linus Otoko Trezor, for coming.
Thank you too.
I think it was a pleasure having you today in the studio.
Thank you too, and thank you to all our televiewers across the continent.
Thank you to Njang Denis for coming. It was really interesting having you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and really appreciate the enormous job being done by your technicians. Kudos to the technicians as well.
Okay, thank you to Ernest Akoufo.
The pleasure was shared, Elvis, and I think...
your first time in the studios.
Yeah, in the Yaoundé studios, but I quite remember during the Major National Dialogue, we're always here sharing ideas as to how to build Cameroon. I think we'll keep building the Cameroon.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is on that note that we draw the curtains for today's edition of your program, 90 Minutes in Africa. My guests were Linus Otoko Trezor, who is a senior journalist, Ernest Akoufo, who is a political analyst and the president of the Popular Action Party, Njang Denis, who is also a Pan-Africanist and a football lover. They were my guests in today's edition of the program. My studio manager was Seisha Biwole, and the program was produced by Romuald Ngantcha with the technical supervision of Christian Tebong and Eli Ewane, with the coordination of Michael Ojong, Kum Leonard, Lasha Kingsley, and the general supervision of Brian Tambe. At the microphone, I am BOH Elvis, thanking you for watching. See you next week for another edition of 90 Minutes in Africa. Bye-bye.